Welcome back, Spartans. This is JAG, aka Leonidas. It's been a while, but I am back every Tuesday with more Clash Royale videos and every Thursday with Call of Duty mobile videos. Of course, DBZ Kakarot will be continuing on Friday and Sunday releases. On today's video, I'm going to be showing you one of my main ladder decks that I use on my primary account. I haven't really decided on a name yet, so post what you think it should be in the comments below. Before we start, I wanted to talk about the strength and weaknesses of this deck, and then jump into the strategies of how to win using it. So first thing first, I have used this deck to get to Royal Champion, and I have used it consistently to get to Grand Champion. All the cards for this deck become available at Arena 10, so you can use it from that point onwards. As far as what decks it's good against, it is strong against your classic high-use decks, like Expo, /Icepo, Hog Cycle 2.8, Logbait, and Golem Night Witch. It is weak against Sparky decks and aerial decks. P.E.K.K.A. Bridge spam is about almost a 50-50. I will be showing you in the following 4 replays how to face some of these decks, but there is not enough time to get into the theory needed for many of the decks you will be facing. If it does become popular enough, let me know in the comments if you're looking for a little bit more of an advanced or a continuation of it, and I will consider doing it. Be warned, this deck does require a high skill cap to utilize, so new and intermediate hog users may require a lot of practice. Finally, let's get into those replays. So this first replay you're going to see is an actual aerial deck. I thought it'd be good to kind of get an idea how to go about actually beating it. And secondly, I just wanted to comment on the deck. It is a 2.8 cycle deck, so it gives you a very fast cycle. So your main damage is going to come into play before that double elixir time, and after that, it's more than not going to be defending. Depends on the type of deck you're facing. So right off the bat, general concept with this deck, you're going to be releasing that hog as much as you can. If you're going to see there's a counter that comes by, you're going to have to cycle before they can get back to their counter and then continue from there. If they have double counters, which you're going to see in some of the decks, it gets very hard, and that's where it comes in with a high skill cap, trying to beat it and try and feint them out if you can sometimes too. Now, as far as the aerial decks, the Loon is probably one of the toughest things to face against. Your main way is going to be stopping with that Ice Whiz as long as they don't have a tank in front of it. Drop that Ice Whiz. If you can, cycle back to that Firecracker as well, and you should be able to at least stop it before it hits the tower, or at most take one hit. The main addition is as soon as you see them drop that Loon, or if they have a Lava Hound or something like that, you're going to drop that Hog in the opposite lane and try and get them to waste Elixir so they can't defend it, and then you're going to cycle back to the Wizard and hopefully then stop any other defense. In this case here, you're going to see me use Mini P.E.K.K.A. to take out that backup support with the Wizard there, and then you see what I tried to do again with the Ice Whiz and Musketeer is limit the damage, so to 1 hit at most, and I keep launching that Hog out as much as possible. And here I'm going to take down that tower, and what you're going to see at this point is you're going to have to make a decision. In this case, you're going to see coming forward is I'm actually going to sacrifice my right tower, so I'm going to do a little bit more push on the left tower because I knew it was essentially inevitable that they were going to get that tower. Now, this is coming into a little bit of the crunch time at about 1 minute mark as the elixir is going to kick up, and that's where it gets a little bit more fast paced, and this is where your skill cap is going to have to really come into play because you should know what cards they have at this point and how you're going to go about countering them, especially when they can bolster up a decent defense, which we're going to see at the end of the game, and this is actually how I'm able to win, but that's a little bit in advance. Here, not going to be enough. I'm not too concerned. I knew they were going to get that tower on that other side. Right now, I just wanted to make sure that I could get at least a few hits on that main tower. I knew they were going to drop a skeleton army a little bit late or early on the log itself, but not too much of an issue. Firecracker here is going to still stay alive. Get that Ice Golem in front. You're going to want to tank as much as you can for that Hog, as you're going to see there. And here's where I'm actually going to do a little bit of advanced anticipation of what they're going to do. I drop that Earthquake, drop that Mini P.E.K.K.A. so they really don't have time to drop anything else. And at that point, then that's game, and that's going to be the end of it in this case. Aerial decks are extremely hard to face with this deck. It's really going to take a bit of practice, and even then, you're not going to win most, but if you can win 50%, keep in mind that's good, because the rest of them on those main decks, you're going to win a lot with. The second deck replay here is going to be your Expo deck. Now, this is going to be a classic Expo deck. It's not going to be Icepo. Icepo is actually probably the harder one to face against. Still doable, but there is a way that they can win occasionally. It doesn't happen very much. You actually have the advantage with this deck over Expo decks. So your main thing is right off the bat, if you see that Tesla, probably going to be an Expo deck. You see the skeletons, lot higher percentage is going to be. That Ice Spirit is almost guaranteed, and as soon as you see those archers, then you know what type of classic Expo deck you have. If you see that Ice Wizard or that Knight, you know that they're going to go with an Ice Bow deck at that point. Now here, the main thing is you're going to try and get a few hits early on. Use that Earthquake if you can with that Tesla that pops up, especially if you can anticipate it. With the Hog, you'll get at least a few hits. Keep in mind, though, they might play that Expo early before the double Elixir. If that's the case, you're going to want to defend with your Ice Golem. So you're going to make sure you can either cycle back to that quickly, which is you're going to see here. I'm going to drop those skeletons, give me enough to at least buy me a little bit of time. Use that Ice Wizard, drop the Ice Golem in there. That's not too much of an issue. Now I can drop the Hog, or I can use Earthquake. You have a few options. If you get that Firecracker placed perfectly or good, you're at least going to actually be able to get some damage from not only the Expo, but also onto the tower behind it. So it's really going to be more of a battle of attrition in this case. Your main thing is you either want them to screw up and miss the Tesla placement, or you're going to really, with a good player, you're going to have to just come down to taking out tower on the, or damage on their tower with your Earthquake and with your Log. That's why with Ice Bow it becomes a little harder. They might actually use the Rocket, just try and defend, and then it comes in a whole other thing. Excuse me. So here you're going to see that still our towers are fairly full health. I mean, they're all 3,000 plus. We're going into the 1 minute mark. This is where the actual Expo deck comes in strong, is when that double Elixir kicks in. That's not really an issue in our case. We actually want that, because as soon as they start dropping that, that's when I'm going to start dropping Earthquakes, and it really doesn't matter in that case. We're going to be able to damage not only Expo and damage the tower at the same time. So as you're going to see there, Earthquake, Log, drop something down to at least tank and defend, and then apply pressure on the opposite side, no matter what it is, with the Hog, so it forces them to use the Tesla. So that way they have nothing to defend that Expo. Worst case scenario is if you can get that Tesla and the Expo on the same side. Again, as you see, Ice Golem defends, drop the Firecracker in, use that Log to do some damage, and make sure you get that Earthquake down as quick as possible. And it's really not going to be able to do much. If they do get a little bit of damage on your tower, it's going to be nothing, so it's not really an issue. And we're just going to keep repeating that, as you're going to see. Drop the Hog on the other side, make them use the Tesla. It doesn't really matter if you get the damage with the Hog. That's not really the goal in this case. If they play aggressive, that's when you can use the Hog more and actually get some damage at the tower, direct damage. But otherwise, if they're playing defensive and they play pretty well, like this person is here, we're going to just rinse and repeat and do the exact same thing. There's not much they can do. You have a big advantage with this deck, so we're going to take advantage of that, especially since there's so many Expos at the higher arenas as well. From basically 10 onwards, you see them quite a bit, maybe even lower. I haven't been there for a while now, so this is going to drag on a little bit, so we're just going to actually speed this up a little bit, just so it gets doesn't get too repetitive in that case. So as you can see here, Hogs and go, Ice Wiz, we're going to keep Earthquaking. I mean, in this case, it doesn't matter which tower we're going to. It's about 1,500 damage. I don't really play to win when I actually face the Expos in this. I play more for just the percentage win of damage to the tower, because with the Earthquake, it's going to happen regardless. So they're going to play aggressive and you win with the Hog, or they play defensively and you win on the damage. So this third replay that I wanted to show was essentially a pure, well, a P.E.K.K.A. bridge spam that essentially opponent. And the reason I want to show it is, one, it's pretty common at the top. It's a pretty easy to use deck, and a lot of people, especially players that just want to get high up, they can use it. It doesn't require too much skill, at least in my mind, but some people might say otherwise. In any case, it's hard to actually face this deck for two reasons. One, the E-Wiz alone is just going to slow down that Hog, so you're really not going to get many shots at the tower. And the second one is that P.E.K.K.A. If they drop that P.E.K.K.A. right off the bat when you drop that Hog, that's going to be a huge hit to you. So it does take a bit of working around to actually try and get it. Your main thing is what you're going to want to do is you're going to try and drop that Hog as much as possible, as many times as you can before the double elixir takes place, because that's really where you're going to win, is if you can get enough damage early on to actually maybe just Earthquake at the end just to win it. Because once that double elixir kicks in, they're going to be able to cycle back to that P.E.K.K.A. quick enough, or E-Wiz plus something else to defend your Hog almost every time. So you're really going to have to rely basically on your Logs and your Earthquake to take the remainder of the tower down so you can win. And you're not going to be able to let them get pretty much any of your towers. As soon as you do that, you're going to be done, at least with this deck. So that's not too much of an issue. That's what we're trying to do here, is with that. If they do drop, what I have learned through playing this deck is if they drop the P.E.K.K.A., and a bunch of other ones. That log's going to come in handy because you can do multiple damage on a lot of them, and you're also going to be able to get damage at that tower, and you're really going to rely on that more than anything to take it. Main thing here is if they drop that Pekka on the other side, you're going to push automatically that opposite lane with that hog, forcing them to drop some other elixir, and then you can stop them with some cheap elixir cards like your skeletons and your ice golem, for example, like you see right here. Kiting with that ice golem is going to be huge on that Pekka, so keep that in mind if you haven't already seen that before, but I feel like most players at this level have and are probably used to it as well. So as we can see, kind of double elixir, well, it is double elixir now. We're 821. That's why you're starting to see me waste some of those logs. You're going to see me start using earthquakes at 314. I know one log and my earthquake at the levels I have them will take that tower down, no problem. So right now I'm just trying to defend, and this wasn't too bad of a match. I have gotten tougher ones with the Pekka bridge spam. Makes it quite difficult, especially when they play well defensively early on. You really got to focus on that log in earthquake, and sometimes push for just the win with the damage alone on the tower, and that's how you're gonna have to play it. So keep that in mind as well. You might just have to push and win off of that. So here it's basically over at this point. I'm just gonna speed it up, and that will be the end of this game, but hopefully that gives you at least a bit of an idea on how to play it. That Ice Whiz is actually pretty handy against that Pekka too. So this fourth and final replay is going to be covering a log bait style deck. Now, it's not the pure classic log bait with your Inferno Tower, which is unfortunate. I really tried to find one with it, but I just didn't have any in my most recent replays, and I wanted to get this out for people. But it is similar enough, and I just want to cover the concepts of how you're going to go about beating that classic pure one, because that's going to be the actual difficult one. I'm not sure why this is lagging out a little bit. So basically, concept-wise, your log that you have in your hand or your deck is always going to be used for the Goblin Barrel. Use it for nothing else. Don't get baited on that Princess. Don't get baited on the Goblin Gang, anything like that. Keep it always for the Goblin Barrel, as you see there. You're going to at least minimize your damage, and it's really going to come down to potentially damage at the tower, so like their rocket versus your earthquake, but you're going to be able to potentially punish them if you play well, if they use the rocket, so it's going to work out to your favor. Now, if they have something like the Dark Goblin, as you see, those skeletons there can be used to swing 2 elixir, positive elixir trade in that case, and then that will at least give you a slight advantage. The next thing is with the Princess. They're going to drop it at the bridge, like you see here, and they're going to try and force you to use that log. In that case, what I suggest is if you have it, use the Firecracker. They're going to get 1 hit on it if you're quick enough, and at that point, then you can swing it to the other side and use it with your hog, or at least as a distraction so your hog does more damage. Now, the Earthquake's going to come in handy because you're either going to use it against the Goblin Gang, or you're going to use it against the Inferno Tower if they have that in hand. They didn't have it in this type of deck, but generally they have it, so you're going to want to use it on that. It's going to be advantageous in the single elixir because they're not going to have enough cards or enough elixir to drop other cards to help support that Inferno Tower. So with that Earthquake Hog combo, you should be able to take damage early on and then focus on, if they're covering and defending well, then just trying to earthquake your tower or their tower down so you win on that, basically. If they play well, it comes down to really a battle, a close battle, and who can kind of get that tower down close enough to an earthquake rocket challenge. If they play a little not so well, or you play really well, it's going to come down to you luckily getting a few extra hits with that hog and then defending well at that point. So that's basically the concept with this deck against the log bait. Again, log for a Goblin Barrel, Firecracker for your Princess, user to push to the other side like that, and then you can use a hog counterattack and then hopefully get some extra damage with the Princess, or with the Firecracker like you see there, where it actually goes through the troops and goes to the tower anyways. And that point is just going to be defending. So that's basically the thing I want to cover out of this. As far as the future video, if you do want to see more of this on how to use it, post in the comments below. I'll definitely try and do that if that's the case, if there's enough of a need or demand. Not sure why it's actually lagging out here, but I will do that hopefully, so I can get some more replays on how to face certain decks and how to win, so you can actually use this to push up the ladder like I did with this deck as well. So that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll catch you in the next video. This is gonna be JAG signing off. Peace out. See you later.